First today, a CDC report details a major COVID-19 outbreak at an overnight summer camp in North Georgia.
More than 200 campers and staff tested positive after attending the YMCA camp Harbour. That's in Rabun County, not far from Clayton. The report concludes the camp tried to be safe, but they did not follow all of the guidelines strictly.
John Sherrick is live outside the headquarters of the YMCA of Metro Atlanta with the details and the headlines of this report. John?
And we're working to get comment from the YMCA about this CDC report. And keep in mind, the CDC says it cannot confirm how many of those who ended up infected were infected before or after that week in camp. But here's what the CDC does say about its investigation of this outbreak. At the YMCA's Camp High Honor in Rabun County, June 21st to 27th, a teenage staff member felt sick on June 22nd and left camp the next day, and then tested positive for COVID-19 on June 24th, and the camp then started sending children home that day. And a lot of adults and children ended up testing positive. Out of 597 campers and staff, 44% tested positive. 346 of them were campers, and 49% of the campers ended up testing positive. Ages 6 through 10, 51% were positive. Ages 11 through 17, 44%. 18 through 21, 33%. Now, the CDC concluded that there were high attack rates among persons in all age groups, despite efforts by camp officials to implement most recommended strategies to prevent transmission. The multiple measures adopted by the camp were not sufficient to prevent an outbreak. Engaging in regular singing and cheering likely contributed to transmission. Uses of cloth masks were not universal. The CDC says staff were required to wear masks, but not children. And again, we're waiting for comment from the YMCA about the prevention measures that were in place and how closely staffers followed them and how closely the children followed them. Now, no indications of how those who were infected are doing now or whether they ended up infecting others after that week at camp.
All right, it is a long, hard summer. Thank you, John. We appreciate it. You can read the full CDC report on our story on 11alive.com and on the 11 Alive News app.